Namaskar everyone. Let me welcome you all to this wonderful gathering. I will say it's an honor to be here today, where we are talking about Be Indian, Buy Indian, as in BUY, Buy Indian, which is being hosted by Higher Education Forum under the guidance of Dr. Sen Gupta, who's himself here, SIS School of Learning and Leadership Development, Navi Mumbai, and ISTD, that is Indian Society for Training and Development, Navi Mumbai chapter, where I'm a committee member. I welcome you all to this beautiful evening where we are going to really understand the essence of why now is the right time to talk of Be Indian and Buy Indian. And I welcome all the speakers to this evening who are going to enrich us on this point, which we are talking about because of the three T's. You know, the three T's which has entered our life very suddenly: Trump, tariff, and trade. So, without taking too much of time, I welcome all the speakers to the evening, all the guests to the evening, and I thank Vaishali ma'am, the chairperson ISTD, Anshul ma'am, Mahesh sir, Kuldeep Bhalerao sir, who were kind enough to give me this privilege to come here and represent ISTD and learn from all of you. So, with that, I welcome you all once again to this evening and hand over to Sen Gupta sir to take this evening forward. Sen Gupta sir, all yours to talk about TTT, Trump, trade, tariff. And now we talk of Buy Indian, Be Indian. So, sir, all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. I once again welcome all of you on behalf of all the organizing three institutions that Dr. Swati mentioned, and it's a privilege to be here. It's a very, very important and relevant topic today in the current context, though we have been talking it for last 20, 30 years. But possibly the things have become suddenly very relevant and important because uh, in case we are not in a position to leverage the huge the population we have, the consumer demand we have today in terms of the product development, because we are strong in services, but that too the back end services. But as far as the products are concerned, we are not very really strong. It is high time we look at it very very seriously, and the government of India also has started looking at the matter very serious and got the various schemes like Mudra loan scheme or BLI scheme, etc., etc. That we'll talk in detail a little bit later. Because the internationally, while the WTO started the whole concept of the free trade agreement, but suddenly we are seeing the rise of protectionism from the various spheres. We are seeing the various types of the stiff tariffs which are being levied on the country, and therefore it is high time that we look at the whole concept of the Be Indian and the Buy Indian. When I say Be Indian and the Buy Indian, the idea is essentially that we need to convert these serious challenges into the opportunities. And if we start today the producing the goods which are globally competitive, possibly there will be a chance that we really become a superpower and really become the not only the second or third largest economy in the world, but also the, I mean to say, in terms of the per capita income, also we rise substantially than the currently the position we hold actually. And when I say second largest economy, it's a dream actually, because it's very, very difficult as of today to beat a country like China. But we must have a dream. We must have a dream, and our dream is that by 2047, Modi ji rightly told, not only to become a Vikasit Bharat, but possibly to become the second largest economy, if not the first largest economy in the world. That's the dream with which we should try to cherish the idea of a Be Indian and Buy Indian. The methodology which you're going to follow in the roundtable is very simple. That initially there will be four extremely brief presentations of 4 to 5 minutes by four eminent people for representing the different streams and the different areas. And after that, we leave it open to all of you. And we hopefully finish to end by 8 o'clock, and we may extend by 5 or 10 minutes here and there. The first speaker for the day is going to be a very eminent person, Mr. R.K. Jain. He does not require introduction for many of us. He is an industrialist to the core. He started his industry, Sarachem, which is more than 35 years old, 3.5 decades old. But more than that, he's deeply connected with industry, very, very deeply connected with industry, because we have been working together. He's a known face in the industry lobby in the entire the state of Maharashtra, particularly in the Mumbai belt and the Navi Mumbai belt. He was the chairman of the IIMS Navi Mumbai for a very, very long time. So it's my privilege to welcome Mr. R.K. Jain and to give the initial remarks. Mr. R.K. Jain, the floor is open to you from the manufacturing angle, if you can throw your light. Sir. R.K. Jain, sir.
जैन सर, आई थिंक यू विल हैव टू अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ सर. आप म्यूट पे हैं.
म्यूट पे हैं सर.
Yes, I have unmuted. Okay. Uh, First of all, thank you very much, Sengupta sir, for giving all these compliments to me. Now, coming to the point, I would like to share my very recent experience while traveling to China after 8 years in just 2 months back in the month of June. Now, there is no doubt that Indian economy is growing. Indian economy is doing well. That is very much visible when you move out and when you go in the various places. As on date, I would like to share with everybody that India is cheapest labor country. In spite of the low productivity, it is still cheapest. There is no shortage of talent in our country, but when we aim to have the world manufacturing base, India as a world manufacturing base, there are certain, shortcomings. China industry as on date is not doing well. I was really shocked to see the lifestyle and the condition in the Chinese cities and in Chinese market after 8 years. It looks like that glamour and that prosperity is gone. It is not visible. There is a 25 to 30% unemployment in that country. Industries are not doing well because they are not able to export to that extent as when they have put up those facilities, and now they are facing shortage of export market. Labor cost is extremely high. I discussed with many industrialists over there. They said we are shifting our base from China to other countries like Vietnam, and we are ready to make India also our base, but your government is not, accepting or promoting or, encouraging us to come to your country. So they are basically facing a lot of problems to have still larger manufacturing capacity. Vietnam is taking over, replacing China as the manufacturing hub, rather world manufacturing place, because all the countries, whether from Europe or USA or from China, they are making Vietnam as their manufacturing base because labor is not expensive, land is extremely cheap, infrastructures are fantastic. I have traveled to Vietnam 2, 3 times. I found all the industrial areas are just facing the port. It is it's just few kilometers from the port, all industrial areas. And most of the areas are tax-free zones, SEZ. So, they prefer those kind of privileges. Now, India has a great scope to become the manufacturing hub. When we say be Indian, buy Indian, there is a lacuna in that. The raw material cost in our country is extremely high. You talk about any raw material, and when you plan to manufacture goods, finished goods out of that raw material, you lose the competitiveness. Forget about exports. It's become very difficult to compete with the foreign supplies in spite of their high labor cost because of the extremely high raw material cost. It will be very interesting because we are putting up a new manufacturing project in Ahmedabad. It will be starting, that construction will start from next month. And until now, until this last January, that product used to be imported from China. But because of this BIS introduction by Government of India, that import is stopped. So we thought that there is a huge demand. We will set up that manufacturing because it is going to be our captive product consumption also. So we are putting up that manufacturing of that particular product. But when you talk about raw material, there is a 25-30% price difference, India versus other countries. But you cannot import that raw material from other countries because BIS is applicable. That is number one. Second thing is, high cost of compliances. The government compliances are so expensive. See, I must say that the high level of corruption in the government department makes it more expensive to go for the compliances. And of course, you have to follow the compliances to put up any large or small manufacturing base. So, these things, unless it is controlled or taken care, we cannot be competitive and we cannot compete with the foreign supplies. So be Indian, buy Indian, still we are far away. Now the last thing is improvement of the logistic transportation. That takes very high cost on the when you talk about import, some exporting the goods from our country to other country, that takes the toll on the costing. So the unless we improve the logistic, when other countries, the from factory go down to the ports, it takes just few hours, and clearance also takes few hours. In our country, it's a matter of few days, and where you will be stuck up, you never know. So that increase the cost of exports. So we lag behind on that particular front. But yes, our country has got immense potential as a domestic consumer itself. And that is the reason that our economy is doing well. We don't depend on export, unlike China, which solely depend on exports. So these are the things, uh, we should be careful while addressing those things. As I told, reduction in the raw material costs, reduction in the compliances cost, and improvement in the transportation very efficiently. Then we can be, be Indian by.
Thank you, Jain Sahab. I think uh, I must appreciate the boldness with which you talked about the three things actually, and they are the real pain points: the raw material cost,
Yes.
the compliances cost, the corruption particularly, and finally the logistics issues actually. But government is aware of all these things, and I think the things might be moving in the right direction. I am not sure, but might be moving in the right direction. We will send it anyway the approach paper of this roundtable to the government, and let's see what happens over there. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your
Thank you,
thoughts.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Next speaker we have is Manoj Alimchandani, completely from different area. He's a financial expert, and wherever you talk about the financial market, the financial securities market, risk management, and so on and so forth, people cannot forget Manoj. Manoj, next is your plate. Why don't you take over? Manoj, hope you are there.
You very much for
Yeah.
inviting me. It's indeed a pleasure for me to interact with a distinguished audience, so many PhDs, economists, and educationists. Now, I remember it was 2016, February. I addressed a very large roundtable and a public discussion on Make in India. Now it is 9 years. That was a planned initiative, Make in India, to see that we increase our share of GDP in case of manufacturing, and we boost the domestic consumption also, and also do go for export-led growth. Now the table has turned full circle. It is after decades, a new initiative is being discussed, maybe by compulsions over recent geopolitical developments on trade and wars and trade wars. Swadeshi 2. Now, Swadeshi 2 is a different genre. Suddenly it has come up, and now speeches are being made. What is the reason? Whether we have to look into it from way of economic and business implications, or they are political compulsions. We have to see the geopolitical factors. I would like this discussion to be as interactive as possible and look at deep dive into the various factors on the current scenario and how we can convert crisis into a great opportunity. Now, what we are seeing, tariffs are being seen as a new weapon in the geopolitical scenario. Wars, we have seen Ukraine, we have seen Middle East, we have seen our border skirmishes. Now, those were weapon defense related wars. Now, we are seeing trade wars. It's a new thing we have to face. Most of us are involved in education, and the future generations depend on us for our thought leadership. We know about competitive advantage. When we produce, whichever, whether it is manufactured goods or whether it is agriculture or whether it is services, competitive advantage has been the main thing. Competitive advantage of nations, competitive advantage of goods, various locations, and based on that, decisions are taken, and then the world benefits by getting the advantages of each nation and each locations. And we have always seen we break it up into the material, raw materials from supply side economics, customers who generate the demand, labor where there's a cost arbitrage, whether we have it in Make in India for manufactured products or it is in intellectual capital, software, AI, where the intellectual capital is involved, and we see a kind of a arbitrage in production and between various countries. We had a significant, always a very high arbitrage in the software exports, and where high skilled is there, high skilled education is there. We have seen that's a competitive advantage, and also the management. Now here one thing comes into it. Besides all this together, we have most important thing is capital, which is driven by ownership, can be by a government, public sector, or the capital market, domestic, or it could be FDI. Now, what we are seeing is a different thing. All of you might have seen a speech by our Prime Minister just a couple of days back when a massive factory in Gujarat was inaugurated, Maruti Suzuki, where we said we will export the EV cars and in a big way. Now that is a company which has significant foreign ownership, but our Prime Minister said this is also a Swadeshi. Swadeshi too. The cars are made in India. Capital is coming from abroad. Technology is coming from abroad, but it is an Indian who makes it. So it is Swadeshi. So we had to see it from a different angle. Made in India, capital can come from abroad, but we call it Swadeshi. So leaving a food of thought for all. Most of the global companies today, particularly in the United States, they have at top level Indian management. More than 50 companies have Indian CEOs. So it is again Indian people heading the decision-making matrices, whether it is Google or whether it is, there are hundreds of companies. So it is Indian management. So do we consume those goods? Of course we do. It's a point of they have been helm of affairs and producing value. So different insights come, and when we look at production here or for exports based on competitive advantage, we have seen India has a very, very significant advantage, even more than China in many aspects. China, government dominated, transparency is very low, and everybody knows the quality of production and services are in doubt. What is the life of Chinese goods? What is the service level? And we have seen they dominated over the last couple of decades because they started reforms and export-led strategy earlier. And we have started in a big way now. And our exports are increasing, quality is high, and they are in demand. Quality has been appreciated. That's why we have seen even the Apples of the world sign up in India. PLI schemes are there, production link incentives, and today we are among the largest industry in telecom. and we have seen many more goods. We have a very large automobile exports, two-wheeler exports. So it's a mutual benefit. We have seen earlier China plus one, then we said China, India, not China, and now a kind of lot of geopolitical dynamics is there, where it is India and China together, and these are uh, geopolitical trade, free trade agreements. We signed one with UK. Negotiations are on with so many countries. So that has turned into a trade weapons and again protectionism. So what do? We have seen goods. We also have seen services. We have very good trade surpluses with many countries, deficits with some because of we are dependent on oil. And also in services, we are the best in the world. We are the back office factory for the world and very competitive. Here we have to see deep down, which we would love to interact and see, go sector by sector and look at our advantages. What do we produce? What can we import? And where we can add value, and then use it for domestic consumption and also export in a big way, high quality, and built up a brand India. We would see in a lighter vein Amul, an ad which says now made in India is a luxury brand. So of course tariffs are there. The buyer pays for it. He likes it, but there is a perception. Some people feel the price, the more expensive the good is, the better good is. So India, some of the Indian goods may be slightly more expensive than produced by Vietnam or Bangladesh or some countries which have got some unfair advantage in Trump tariffs temporarily. Of course, that all will change because it's a power play factor. The playbook is changing every day, but we have to see main thing is there should not be any dependency. Why China is favored? They can reciprocate and they say, okay, we won't give you rare magnets. We will not give you that. And then we have world leaders going down to China and they get better advantage. All these things we will see a big change. India will again be much ahead. But we have to see whether we create a dependency on on importers. What do we have? Can we go for reciprocal? Can we go for retaliation? So far, we are not done that because Indian morality is and values are very important. We have stuck to that, and many countries and uh, businessmen and educationists are really appreciating our stand. But it's a power play, and we have to see that we win the game. It's not easy. Patience and persistence is very important. Who blinks first? So far, we are doing that, and it is good we are having roundtables like this. This is a great time to convert crisis into opportunities and see that we are doing reforms in a big way. One major reforms which is being discussed today every day is on GST phase two of the tax rates coming down. That will drive huge consumption and also scale up our production of goods and services. When we have scales, we become more competitive and we get more competitive advantage. And competitive advantage always ultimately drives uh, business and consumptions, and we can be much ahead under the game. But wherever options are available, we must be Indian, buy Indian, and Swadeshi too is a very good thing. You have we can go for a Titan watch instead of a Tissot or a Rolex. But we see we produce the best quality in the world. Go for a Jaguar made in India rather than you go for a BMW. So these are the lots of options are there. We are world class. We are second to none, and it's really uh, an opportunity time for us. So whichever way we call it, we boost our production, we boost our consumption, we also boost our exports. We do strong bilateral and multilateral agreements. Today, our Prime Minister is in Japan, and we are getting huge investments from Japan. Big investments are being announced, and they are being converted into reality. This will improve our competitive advantage. This will also bring in more Swadeshi, and we have the best in class production, whether it is goods manufactured, agriculture, services. So it's a great opportunity. Would like each of you to look at these aspects. We do a deep dive and look sector by sector into each of the aspects.
Thank you, Mr. Manoj. That was a lot of food for thought. Maybe call the next speaker to be as brief as possible since the running short of a time. Mr. Nilay Yagnik, Dr. Nilay Yagnik. He is the former professor at Maximongi Institute of Management Studies and currently the director of the Zio Institute. Nilay.
Thank you very much, sir. Firstly, I wish to thank the Higher Education Forum, the Indian Society for Training and Development, and the SIES School of Learning and Leadership Development for inviting me to speak today. And specifically, I wish to thank Dr. Sen Gupta, sir, who has been a mentor and a guide and one of India's most leading educationists, who is always looking at the future. So this particular topic which Sir and the team had formulated, be Indian and buy Indian, is so relevant in today's scenario. And I just have a few points which I have noted down. I'll quickly mention that. Firstly, if you see the way India, Gandhiji himself was one of the earliest, probably the only chamber of commerce which Gandhiji became a member of was the IMC Chambers of Commerce and Industry. I think Professor Jain was,
Yes.
Dr. Jain was very much the chairman of the Mumbai chapter, Navi Mumbai chapter. So it was the IMC, and he wanted to encourage Swadeshi movement. He wanted to encourage this Indian mindset of be Indian and buy Indian. And that is why he wanted to encourage the Indian industry. Many Indian industrialists, pre-independence era and immediately post-independence, also came up. If you see Walchand Industries, if you see GD Birla, if you see the Tatas, all of them had an objective and a goal of encouraging the Indian mindset and the Indian buying and the Indian economy. GD Birla, in fact, set up BITS Pilani, which is today one of the premier institutions, not only in India, but is known globally. Set up BITS Pilani, which is my alma mater, incidentally. The purpose why he set it up was he wanted Indians to build Indian factories, Indian dams, Indian roads, right? So that is the reason why he actually set up this, because all along we were dealing with British engineers who would build, especially in the World War. So, that is why he set up such a fine institution. If you look at some of the early years, we were in a very protected environment where we also had high duties. We also had, in the computer industry, you had something called an open general license and a license, what people call license Raj. And we used to look upon it in a very derogatory manner. But looking back today, what the US is doing is exactly that. So the wheel has kind of come a full circle, isn't it? So that is one. I am extremely passionate about this topic. In 1979, when I was a student at BITS Pilani in my second year, my father had bought for me a watch. I needed a watch because of the exams and I had to maintain the timing. So my father had bought for me a watch, an analog watch from HMT. That particular watch stood me for almost 35 years without any problem. It has fallen down. I've used it so roughly. It has fallen down many times. I used to, travel in second-class compartments from Pilani to here, Delhi to here, Mumbai. And even when I was working at NMIMS, it was that watch which I used to use in the local trains where you get literally pushed out at Villeparle. But the watch lasted me. That was quality, HMT quality. So, it's not that Indian products are bad. There are so many innovative companies in India which we have evolved over the years. For example, HMT is one such company, but if you look at Asian Paints, my first job was actually in Asian Paints, and I got an exposure to an Indian company which later became a multinational. Our biggest competitors at that time were Berger Paints and Jensen Nicholson and ICI. Many years later, a few decades later, in fact, the same competitor, British competitor Berger Paints, was acquired by Asian Paints. So the wheel has come a full circle. Why is all this happening? If you look at Rasna, it took on the might of Tang. If you look at Move, that Paras Pharma, Move, it took on the might of Iodex. You see, and there are many others. If you see Marico, another classic example, your L&T, Mahindras, all these companies were Indian companies rooted in India, rooted in the domestic market. If I look at the Indian IT industry, when we were very protected, when IBM was literally asked to leave India in 1977, a whole lot of Indian companies came into being. And there was a big spurt of Indian IT industry, DCM Data Products, HCL, Wipro Group, Wipro Infotech, then subsequently Infosys, Mastech. Of course, TCS was there in 65, but they started to focus more and more business happened. So all of them were focusing on the Indian market because nobody knew us outside at all, outside India. So we were focusing, but Y2K changed all that. And people found, the Indian IT industry found there's more money outside for the same effort. So the whole industry and many Indian operations actually closed down, almost closed down, and the whole operation started working towards exports. Today, if you see, it is in a way, I mean, it is a good thing that we are earning a lot of dollars, but it's also bad in the sense we are not focusing on the Indian market. What is the size of the Indian IT industry today? It's approximately $280 billion approximately, out of which $240 billion is exports and only $48 billion are domestic. Why? We need IT within our own country. We need technology within our own country. So it's time we start looking internally. And I think this whole tariff war that's happening is a good thing for us because it will force us to look at India. It will force the industry and us consumers also to look at the Indian scenario. If you look at some of the most innovative IT companies, which later became, global names, they started off because of the Indian addressing Indian problems. The Simputer, not many people would have heard of the Simputer. It was born in the IISc. And one of my classmates, my senior actually, from BITS Pilani was responsible for designing it. The world's lowest cost computer system. And if you look at Redbus, again, it started from an Indian problem that happened. It became a global multinational kind of a giant. So, even in the field of education, why I have a question to ask here. Why are we so obsessed with especially many of the top institutions in India? They are increasingly being obsessed with foreign faculty coming here, with people of Indian origin who are invited here, which is okay, but we have to pay them in dollars. We're losing foreign exchange, When there's enough talent available inside, let us develop our own people in the field of education. I remember once Professor C.K. Prahlad had come to NMIMS and he spoke to all of us. And, he told us that, all his bottom of the pyramid and the Arvind Eye Hospital case and the Dabbawala case and all those cases, it is tragic that somebody like him, he mentioned that himself, that somebody like him who is a person of Indian origin sitting in Harvard, saw this as a potential for a case study, whereas our own people sitting in India, we did not see all this fantastic innovation happening in our own country. And in fact, he jokingly said that itself is a case study. Why is it that Indians are not seeing Indian innovation happening? I think it is high time we as Indians come out of our inferiority complex. We have to, earlier and even today, imported, quote unquote, is fashionable. But it is high time we remove that inferiority complex, be proud of being in our country, being proud of buying our products, our services, and then going global with that. So I feel it's a blessing in disguise for India, and I hope all of us will start relooking, all the industry, all of us consumers will relook at the beauty of our own products and our own services. Thank you.
Nilay, that was more of a motivating talk. Excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And it also developed a lot of nostalgic feelings among many of us as the older generation people. Thank you very much, Nilay, for bringing
Thank
out
you.
those old generation Indian company story. We'll have a quick, a brief academic, also academician also talking to us. Our own from SIS group, we thought that we will call our manufacturing one faculty member, Dr. Vikram Hande. Vikram, you are there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all for giving me this opportunity. So I will discuss from academic point of view. As this session started with the tariff, the all developed countries, they realize that production or manufacturing is the more source of the innovations. And America, they are losing the innovations, and China, they are going ahead with the innovations. So what exactly the higher education institute should focus with respect to the Indian government policy? Because Indian government started Atmanirbhar Bharat in 2014 with Make in India scheme, where they have identified certain sectors where there are the opportunities or we are having the strengths. And result is that lot of export develop in particular sectors. Now, in that scheme, they have focused on PLI scheme. They develop the more exports. Now, recently, the government, they have announced Make in India for the world. This is a new initiative the government has started where they are focusing on Vikasit Bharat at 2047 to be a developed country. And challenges for the HEIs that Industry 4.0 integration in the curriculum, then providing specialized skills, upskillings and reskillings to the students as well as the industry people. Third thing, enabling industry and academia collaboration is highly required because the industries are not getting the skills as per their requirement. And today, the government, they observe that if we want to go in the global market, there should be a huge research and development should happen in our economy. So they are encouraging all institutes to focus on research and development. So next thing, today creativity is highly required because today's products, they are very creative and they are implementing design thinking through IIC projects. Next to that, now government again or institutes, they are also focusing on supply chain management and logistics project like Gati Shakti project going in IAMS. Sagarmala new initiative started to enhance the export. Second thing, last, that is the green and sustainable manufacturing. Today, all throughout the globe, companies, they are discussing about the green manufacturing and sustainable manufacturing. So there is a opportunities for the HEIs to develop projects or do the research so that green and sustainable manufacturing will be the opportunity for India to become the world manufacturing hub. Thank you very much. And last but not least, last message to the youth of the country that we should motivate them with Jai Vigyan and Jai Anusandhan. This is a slogan that government is using to motivate the young students. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vikram. I think we had a fantastic and fabulous presentation by the four initial presenters. They brought out various things. Let me not try to sum up at this particular stage, but we leave the forum now open to anybody can add the points or anybody can ask any question. Anybody would like to add, that will be probably more beneficial for us. Anybody?
Dr. Sir, I would like to add one
Yeah,
thing.
sure,
See,
please.
when we talk about global presence, then things have to be related. What we used to be 3 decades back, definitely we are much ahead. We are doing much better. Technologically, talent-wise, we are much ahead and we are competing worldwide. But let us see what other countries have taken shape in 3 decades, last 3 decades, then we feel that we are lagging somewhere. We are not competitive, or we are not that at that advanced stage where we should have been. So things have very relative, concept. So in terms of relativeness, we are lagging behind, and we are not that competitive as we should have been.
Good evening, Dr. Sen Gupta. Uttam
Great
Ramani
point. Yeah,
here.
yeah, please.
I would just like to add and contribute to whatever extent I can. First of all, let me thank you, sir, and everyone. I mean, it's been great. I mean, to be here and speaking to all of you, sir. I would like to give a historical perspective to this entire thing. It will take just half a minute. Sir, we all have heard about Silk Road, which started, in 200 BC, and it was there till the 15th century. What is it that India, through Silk Road, was importing? Silk, furs, and glass. And what is it that India was exporting? Spices, precious stones and minerals, handicrafts, sandalwood, and food grains. So the point that I'm trying to make here is India was always a trade surplus. Much before we have been discussing whatever we have been discussing now. So we have been a manufacturing hub as a civilization. Where is it that there was a break? Break to lag jata na? There was a break. That break came in after we were under the rule of British. We became net importers purely because of the policies of the West, as we all know. Now we are coming back to a situation where we always react and we are not proactive. And that was the ideal example is in 1991. In 1991, when we had hardly 1 week of foreign currency with us to import oil, IMF put certain conditions based on which they gave us loans. So that particular reforms that we came in at that point in time, uh, R.K. Jain Saab and Manoj Alimchandani Saab, I don't know whether they will agree with me or not, is that they were not reforms that we wanted to, they were forced on us. So we have always been reactive. That brought in our manufacturing to some extent, but not to what we always wanted to. Later on, as we progressed, we only went on importing goods. Why? Because we never created a base for manufacturing. That came in maybe I would say after 2010, 11, it took up in 2014. And now we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a very, very good thing, sir, which is a very good thing. And I really support that. Let us do more and more towards it. And as far as be Indian, buy Indian is concerned, it can only happen if we produce in India, if we make in India. And that can happen only if we really, throw ourselves out of all these foreigners and, all those things. A simple example, sir. Simple example. I'll give you a very, very simple example. Everybody is talking about Vedic mathematics nowadays. Multiplications that we were taught in schools, we all remember that. it used to take 3 to 4 minutes time. Today it takes half a minute. That half a minute is nothing but Vedic mathematics, which was there thousands and thousands of years ago. But you know, now we have to go to YouTube to find out what Vedic mathematics is. So what I'm trying to say is that let us get to our roots. Let us get to our roots and progress. Everything starts from the roots.
I would respond to Mr. Uttam Ramani. You mentioned about 1991. It was a major crisis. I talked about converting a crisis into opportunity. 1991 was a major crisis at a national level, international level, and we also saw, while we had to agree to very stringent conditions IMF imposed, and we were helpless.
That's
And
what
our
I'm saying.
currency, al-
We
our
have
currency,
been reactive. That is precisely what I'm
yes,
saying.
and our currency also took a major hit in terms of devaluation.
वही होगा,
Ultimately, it was
sir.
a wake-up calls for reforms, and then we started
Sir, if you become reactive,
liberalization.
sir, if you become reactive, if you are a boxer, and if you are reactive, you will have to take 4 punches on your face.
Right.
After that only you can
Right.
throw.
I was saying
वैसे ही है.
we had license Raj before that, and then we had a major reforms of everybody being able to set up and utilize the capacity. Now, what the stage we are, it is so far it is not a major crisis. It is not a national crisis. It's the game has changed, but it's a great opportunity, as you said. We use this to implement the next phase of reforms.
Yeah, I
And
think
Sir,
I would add,
for us, shock therapy works.
yeah, and I would add 2
I
points.
think
I would 2
somebody has
points.
raised a hand, Sen Gupta, sir.
I did.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
please
we
let's
can.
go to the next question. Yeah, please, next person.
Yeah.
My name
Yeah,
hasn't
okay.
appeared today. Admin लिखता है Manjula.
I know Manjula. I was about to say, Manjula, what is wrong with you? You are
No, that I don't know how it came admin. So anyway, no
Okay.
problem. Thank you. Can I just take a minute? Because
Yeah,
I'm very
please.
happy that Ramani sir has just spoke what I wanted to share. See, the whole issue is that we have to be best in whatever we are doing. And if we try to highlight what we are good at, and we should be the best, nobody is able to do that. The whole world cannot do what we are doing. If we can just focus, and if we as reactive, you can say, or copying others and trying to compete with them and their strength, that has become our weakness. Our own strength has to come out very clearly. And
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
no, that's the whole concept, So we are good in so many things. So let's concentrate on that. That's important. And even manufacturing or whatever, if you want to compete, then there also we should be better than the others. If only we can be the number one, then only we should do that. Whether it is car or it is whatever it is. HMT example is the best example. So we know it. We all have grown with that. So what has happened? Of late, the quality has really gone to a rocks, So that's what. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manjula. Thanks a lot.
I think we are running short of time. Can I put some inputs, Dr.
Yeah,
Sen Gupta?
please.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Sir, can I
including me in
just
this group.
ask a question, sir?
Please wait, Dr. Jayashree madam. Let Mr. Vigna Naik finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just my background. I'm committee member of Bharatiya Vidyavan, my social work. But I started, I'm from BITS Pilani, Mr. Nilay, I'll talk to you after the meeting. I'll give you a call.
Sure.
I'm 72 batch, but I
Oh.
started my career in atomic energy, BRC. So a lot of possibilities of design and innovation, everything I have gone through. But what has happened, and I have just adding on to what Mr. Jain said, chairman of IMC, where I was also active member. What is the problem we started with after independence, that we became a social democratic country? License Raj, corruption, everything was encouraged. And probably at that point of time after independence, we are far better than the Chinese. And what Chinese gained during this period of people's revolution and after that is discipline. So every country that progressed after the war was Japan, South Korea, now Vietnam. People are disciplined. You call for a meeting I ran a company in a board meeting. If you call everyone, come at 9 o'clock, people will just come after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, talk on the phone. So what is lacking is the discipline in our country to make people in the line. I know my son works for Apple in US in the design center, and he used to travel to China where 10,000 employees producing, voluminous products for the December Christmas production. Now they will announce a new product and it has to be there. Few million phones are produced there. Now they have transferred to India, and you already started problems of the leftists starting protest and the discipline that is missing, people not turning up. We have so many holidays, Ganpati holiday, then the holiday, that holiday. So what we lack is discipline. To be a manufacturing powerhouse, if you
Sengupta
don't...
sir, just one observation with your permission, sir.
Please,
I will
please.
take 30 seconds, though I'm a professor. Nilay sir and Jan sir, I heard everyone, thank you for your points. One thing, sir, is that this generation of our who's sitting here and talking of be Indian, buy Indian, let's make our kids Indian first. Let's stop telling them about all foreign products are great and Indians are like this. Please bring a socio-culture change where Dr. Swati's son believes coming back to India to celebrate Ganpati is an awesome thing to do. So, sir, my 2 bits is we have to start re-believing in being the value system of India, which made us great, which is making us great. So our next generation has to be taught that India was, is, and will be the best. That's my 2 bits. Because
Dr. Swati, that is precisely the reason why I gave the example of Vedic mathematics,
yes.
which today is going on YouTube as a solution.
On a lighter note, Sengupta sir will recognize for my son a dal, bhat and chokha is much better than a McDonald's burger because I've taken the effort to bring it to the table.
100%,
So,
100%. Fully agree.
so my 2 bits, sir. And I loved what Jan sir and all said. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your inputs. Nilay sir,
Thank
Jan
you,
sir.
Dr.
Other viewpoints.
Can I speak something on this?
Modi साहब कुछ
Be
बोलेंगे?
Indian, buy Indian, but more than that, let
Actually,
India be in you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Other
as a consumer, now they have all have talked about as an expert, but as a consumer, we fail to brand our products, even in India. See, Amul has done it, and they have branded it very nicely, strategically, and it is accepted in the world. So one thing that company which want to sell here also and globally, they have to brand it successfully. Second thing, as a consumer, I don't know which product is from which countries. Now this has cropped up. We have to be Indians or buy Indians. Then I am looking on the Google, which soap, which cloth is Indian. Until unless this awareness is not put in the mind of the consumer of Indians, we cannot succeed in saying that be Indian, buy Indian. That is my saying. Thank you.
Agreed. Modi sahab, there is a question there in the chat box that is the government should not give any support to the industries which are suffering as a result of the tariff, etc., etc. The government is already thinking, and some concession is already by removing, let's say, for example, import duty on the kapas, etc., etc. But some concession will definitely be given. A committee has been formed, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Next question, please. Next contribution, please.
Sir, can I speak?
Yeah, please. Joshi madam, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Just appreciating the excellent speakers due to the expertise and personal experience. I just wanted to add on to what Swati ma'am and Uttam Ramani sir. This is reference to Professor Nilay's talk. I just wanted to share something very briefly. I think one of the important things is change in the mindset as he was talking about. Professor Director of IIT Chennai, Professor Kamakoti, while giving orientation to the parents, had brought out this to them while highlighting Sindoor and talking about the technical people where the brilliant brains have been behind. He spoke to them that every parent first thinks of getting their children into IIT And then once they finish it, take the first flight and go to US. He said, why don't you think in terms of staying in India? So I think the thing somewhere starts with our own middle class values, where we give more importance to what is foreign than talking about it. If Chinese can make products related to Indian festivals, I think why should we not see the opportunities? So I think silently there is something going on. Previously, we admired Ambani and Adani for their dreams, but today people appreciate Srinivas from Perplexity. I think there is a change that is going on. I think what Prime Minister has already said, reform, perform, and transform probably will take place. But I think, as ma'am said, even discipline, maybe all these are various aspects where family, businessmen, politicians, and all the people, educationists can play a big role, I feel. But I think just last, sir, give the devil its due course. What Sindoor has initiated, I think President Trump has given momentum to it for making our Indians feel more proud about themselves. Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity.
Absolutely, ma'am. Great. Thank you. It was great.
Last word.
Thank you. Any other
I
viewpoint,
could
please?
appreciate. Yes, Mr. Naveen Dugal. The whole thing was we are conflicting, talking, but the point is, let's be Indian, let India be in me, and we propagate right image with the discipline whatsoever. At the same time, if doesn't happen, don't blame anyone. Bring that reform within you. For the example, in the whole Gulf, as Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all these countries, I have seen the Lulus and many big brands are issuing and using only Indian products. And that's why the other products of other countries don't work. But the consistency has to be maintained. That's my only prayers, that each one be honest and be a true Indian. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Any other viewpoint? Anyone would like to share anything?
Sir, I would like to share a thought for everybody to ponder.
Please.
How do we measure the success of Swadeshi 2? After one quarter, after 1 year, in tangible ways, how do we measure the success of Swadeshi 2?
Okay, we'll come back to that.
I
Any other?
have couple of ideas, just
Please.
throwing open, but everybody can share own view. One is to see incremental growth in IIP numbers, which are released month to month. Number two, we have millions of Indians in the United States, and whether they continue to use Indian best-in-class ready-made garments and jewelry, even at a higher cost, that will show the success of Swadeshi in a qualitative and quantitative way. And many other ideas can come from the panelists and from the members, distinguished members here. And that could be a very good takeaway from today's roundtable.
Any other viewpoint?
Sir, good evening, sir. I am Prakash Praharas.
Yeah, please.
I just want to add a small thought. I got this feedback from my daughter who's in Toronto. Now, Toronto stores, I'm talking from the perspective of the consumer. So, Toronto, many stores, they have displayed the items, all American goods and what are the Canadian goods available in the store. They don't tell that you don't buy American, buy Canadian. They just put the brands that is available of both the countries, and the consumers make a choice and gradually they go for Canadian brands. This is a very simple feedback. I think that will work wonders.
Sir,
Fine,
personally, I totally agree, sir. If I may say something, Dr. Sen Gupta, this is precisely what we should also do here. Each and every product, it should be very categorically mentioned, whether it is manufactured in India or A, Y, A, B, C, whichever country, then let the consumer decide. And I'm sure what Prakash ji said just now will work in India also.
Fine. Anybody else?
I would like to add something very 30 seconds, that actually there is a logo which we need to develop. This is in progress, that Make in India will have a very special logo. And I believe there are groups who are working on it.
Great.
That's a good idea.
Great.
That's a good idea.
Great.
Anybody else would like to add anything? I think fundamentally we are agreeing one thing, that we had something, we have lost something during our way. Ancient India was great. And we used to consider 35% of the GDP. And today we are hardly contributing 2 to 3% of the GDP. So we have lost somewhere down the road. We have been a manufacturing hub, we have been a logistic hub, we have been our built-in temples or our, if you look at the Harappa's, Harappa's, water management system or irrigation system, they are the, or if you look at the symmetry of the Indian temples, I mean, they are the best. Somewhere, something we have lost down the line. Or if you look at the Kurj swords, which came before the Damascus swords, I mean, we feel that we have lost out somewhere down the line. Maybe because of the British rule, maybe because of the Mughal rule, whatever it is. Let's not go into the past. But that's a fact, actually. The question is of the future, how we do build up the future. And Mr. Jain mentioned actually that the very important bottleneck, and that I think those are the three important bottlenecks we should try to look upon very, very seriously from a manufacturing perspective, that I must look at my raw material cost, which is exorbitantly high actually. I cannot get a competitive advantage at all in terms of manufacturing. There's a lot of compliance cost that is increasing, and the compliance cost includes the corruption cost. I mean, so that needs to be reduced. So the government must do something. There's no doubt that the central level, the corruption has gone down, but it's doubtful whether the corruption has gone down at the grassroots level or not. The government must look into it. If necessary, from an action team, etc., etc. And finally, we must remove the logistics and the supply chain bottleneck constraint, because that's a very, very important thing. We have got a, it takes a days to go to the airport. You look at the situation today. All the trucks have been stationed. They have been, because of the agitation which is going on in the city of the Bombay. All the trucks have been stopped somewhere else. So we are losing days after days actually. If the strike continues, but the logistics help actually. So we are logistically, we stand nowhere actually. It takes days after days for the ship in and ship out, etc., etc. There are a lot of problems actually. We need to remove the logistics hubs. A lot of things the government is trying. But the fact of the matter remains that we need to build up a strong domestic Indian mindset, because if we cannot build up a nationalist mindset actually, whatever we may do at the end of the day, we will not buy the products. Whether we follow the Toronto policy or not, whether we can make an India logo or not, that's a different thing. That's for all of us to decide. But we as Indians, we must should dream to be an Indian and should try to be an Indian, because that's the only way we can take the India to the next orbit. If India is to become the second largest economy in the world, or to become the first largest economy in the world, because that's a goal, that's a dream act. That's what we started talking about, that we should aim to become the largest economy in the world. We cannot do it unless and until we think big, we dream big, we try to have a ambition to have a great India. It's a make India great again. It is like, that's the type of the slogan I'm saying must believe in. Thank you very much for all the panel members. And we have an exceedingly good time. I request Dr. Swati to give a formal vote of thanks for conclusion.
Thank you so much, sir. And let me thank each speaker for bringing in a lot of things together. And Manojji, I loved when you went all into finance, because I'm a bit struggler in finance even till today. And Nilay sir pointed out beautifully that yes, there is a lot of things that we need to work upon. And I really resonated a lot with what Vikram sir also said, being an educationist myself. And Jan sir was like the nail on the head for all of us to know that yes, there are real challenges, and such roundtable conferences or conclaves will bring out the real solution to the problem. Manjula ma'am, as always, bringing her point, and let me also applaud her for being the woven handloom queen. I love her because she's taking the Indian tradition forward. And like Sen Gupta sir wrapped up with, I would like everyone here to say that 36 of us here can really make a difference if we can invoke nationalism within ourselves. This Diwali, do not buy a foreign diya collection because it's cheaper and lasts longer. Be Indian in your own way, because one person being true Indian can inspire many to be true Indian. So that's how I would end. And my thank you to each one of you for asking questions, adding your viewpoints, because this is the way we can really reach the goal that we are all aspiring for. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. Swati, I would like to say a few words about Dr. Sen Gupta. Actually,
always, sir.
This is the wonderful, he has arranged these kind of talks, very valuable, interesting talks, and even, we are able to share valuable inputs from other participants. So these are very valuable talks, and I must compliment him and thank him for arranging these kind of talks.
Sir, this is coming from a treasure of knowledge.
Of course,
Dr.
no
Sen
doubt.
Gupta
No
means
doubt.
a treasure of knowledge. So,
No doubt.
And I will add one thing, Ramani sir, that lot of people I know have treasure of knowledge. What differentiates sir is that he catches the bull by the horn. It's very easy for us to go around putting on our social media, boycott this,
Right, right.
boycott that. And Sen Gupta sir talks about a root cause analysis, that how are we really going to solve it. That's
So
what
that
differentiates
approach
him
to
from
have this
others.
kind of discussion
Yes,
is
absolutely.
it's more valuable. Yes,
Absolutely. He is phenomenal. My guru always,
no
so
doubt,
he is
no doubt.
phenomenal.
sir,
Yes, Sen Gupta sir, the last word goes
ma'am,
to you.
ma'am, he is the guru for all of us, everybody sitting here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good night. Then.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank
Happy
you,
Ganesha
everybody.
festival to all. May
Thank
Lord
you.
Ganesha give us the
Ganpati
pathway for
Bappa!
new revenue.
Gloria.
Thank
God
you.
bless all.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank
all.
I feel
Thank you.
honored to be part of this group. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.